So we obviously are waiting on a few more people, but if you wanted to, we can just go ahead and start. If you wanted to introduce yourself, then I'll share the presentation.
Okay. So my name is Liz Soto. I've lived here in the Bryan College Station area since I was 6. So age me, that's 50 years almost. And I have a license in securities and investments and helping people with financial planning, personal financial planning. I have been a little bit involved with the Habitat for Humanity a year, 2 years now, 3 years. I guess this will be my 3rd year to be helping out with the finances. And it's my love is to help people figure out the money game, because I struggled with it for so many years and have finally seen the light and want to share all those tricks with everyone else so they can not have so many problems, because we don't learn enough about it at school.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. We're already having people start rolling in. So I will go ahead and share the presentation.
Okay.
And,
So,
sorry. I will also, so I think our Spanish speaker who's taking the class, she watches the recordings afterwards because she works. So in like right now, there may not be any Spanish speakers, but they'll still be translating throughout for the recording mainly. So if you wanted to introduce yourself in Spanish now.
Okay.
Just quickly before we start.
Okay. Yo me llamo Liz Soto y tengo una licencia en seguridades, inversiones, y ayudo a las familias a planear sus presupuestos, controlar mejor su dinero, y he estado aquí en esta ciudad de Bryan por 50 años y me encanta ayudar a las familias. Y después de esta presentación, si tienen cualquier pregunta, me pueden comunicar por Carla en la oficina de Habitat. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So do you want me to go ahead and start the presentation?
Yeah, we can go ahead and get started.
Okay. So tonight we're going to teach you some basics and then be available for any more in-depth questions that you may have. Esta noche vamos a revisar unas cosas básicos, pero si tienen preguntas, podemos discutirlos también. So I'll go through these. Probably Carla will have to add to my translations if I miss something or need extra help towards the end. My brain might get tired thinking in 2 languages, but I'll try to do this slide. So we are going to learn how to build a strong financial house. Vas a aprender cómo hacer una casa fuerte con tus finanzas. You will learn what your current financial priority is, where you should be spending your most time and energy right now in your life. Vas a aprender qué prioridades tienes ahorita y dónde debes poner tu atención y energía para construir esa casa fuerte. You'll learn what net worth is. I don't even remember what's that word, net worth. Tu valor en números, en dólares.
Yes.
Vas a saber qué es eso. You will learn how to build a budget, what is a budget, what it looks like. Vas a aprender cómo hacer un presupuesto. What are fixed versus variable expenses. Diferentes tipos de pagos, Carla?
Expenses. Oh my gosh, I blanked out on the word.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is a sinking fund? ¿Cómo ahorrar adelante de hacer una compra grande para no usar crédito?
It's gastos, sorry.
Yeah, gastos. That's the word I used. Okay. Rules about emergency funds. Learning how to protect an emergency fund once you start one, so you don't spend it in the wrong places at the wrong times. Vas a aprender las reglas alrededor de un fondo de emergencia. And what is zero-based budgeting? This is the type of budgeting that we will be teaching you, and you'll learn how to use that. You have to redo it every month. Okay, el estilo de presupuesto que vamos a enseñar es lo de que se llama zero base, que cuentas los dólares hasta que tienes cero cada mes y lo tienes que hacer otra vez cada mes. Vas a decir a tus dólares dónde ir antes de que llega el mes. Okay. I'm going to tell you about net worth real quick. Can we go back to that slide?
Yes.
Because we don't have a specific slide about net worth, but it's a good term to know. So your net worth is your value in dollars. It is all the money you have, everything you own, all your assets, your savings, your investments, your house. Add that together. That's the value of what you have. And then subtract from that all your debts, all that you owe, anyone who's expecting you to pay them or any bills that you have regularly. And that gives you a number that is your value. Your goal is to increase that number as you get older. As you learn to manage your money better, your net worth should grow. So, número 3, net worth, el valor que tienes en dólares, tienes que sumar todos tus, I don't remember, assets, todo que tienes, que tiene valor en dólares, tu casa, tu sueldo, tus ahorros, y sumas todo eso, después restas lo que debes a otros, y el número que sigue al final es tu valor. Y tú quieres durante tu vida hacer crecer ese valor en dólares. And that's your net worth. Okay, we can go to the first slide. So we're going to spend a little time on this slide. It's the basic map for how to build a strong financial house. Vamos a quedar un poco de tiempo en este dibujo. Quiero que lo vean bien. Empezando de abajo, starting at the bottom on this solid red foundation, you can see the faith in Jesus Christ, then unity with your spouse, and then a commitment to being self-reliant. These are foundational concepts that you need to have at the start of your economic life, because Jesus Christ can help you in all your endeavors when you're on the right path. And if you're not speaking with your spouse and communicating well about your finances, you can conflict different plans and not help each other as you should. And you have to be committed to doing your best and living within your means and not relying on other people for things, to be a good steward of what you have. Entonces, voy a empezar abajo en el fondo de la casa, en este ladrillo rojo. Primero necesitas fe en Cristo, después unidad con tu pareja, después un compromiso con ti mismo de ser responsable y no depender mucho en los otros, en tu alrededor o tu familia o la ciudad o el gobierno. Okay, necesitamos a Cristo en todo lo que hacemos, y también en un matrimonio es importante comunicar bien con, there's another word for spouse. Bueno, tu pareja, para que están en el mismo plan y pueden tomar buenas decisiones para llegar al mismo fin. Si tienen diferentes ideas o planes, no van a ayudar bien uno al otro. Y últimamente aquí en compromiso de ser responsable para manejar bien las bendiciones que Dios nos da, hay que portarnos bien y tomar buenas decisiones y ser responsables. Okay, I may have repeated that too many times. Let's see. The number one.
Sorry, I was going to say that I can do the Spanish
Okay.
translation.
Okay. Number one, paying tithes and offerings. You always want to give back to God what he gives you, so pay to your church first. That's it.
Lo primero es pagar la ofrenda primero, porque es importante dar a tu iglesia, sí, ah, antes de empezar.
Okay, number 2, protect your family from hardship. If you don't have an emergency fund or savings and insurance, then when crisis comes, the whole house falls apart because you're using money from other savings to take care of this thing. Could be a funeral or it could be a car breaking down because you haven't prepared with savings. Savings is very important. Step number 2.
Ahora lo siguiente es proteger a tu familia de si algo pasa, por ejemplo, tener una cuenta de ahorros, tener una cuenta para emergencias, por si algo pasa, no afecta a su familia mucho, tener seguro, más para tener a su familia protegida por si algo pasa.
Number 3 is to eliminate debt. Pay off any bills and try not to buy things that you cannot afford today, like on a credit card. If you don't have the cash, try not to buy it. Save ahead of time and then go buy it.
Ahora es eliminar cualquier deuda que tenga. Entonces, por ejemplo, no tratar de usar su tarjeta de crédito si no tiene ese dinero ya en su tarjeta de débito. Entonces, tratar de guardar para cosas en vez de tener muchas deudas.
Number 4, save and invest for the future. Once you have done step 1, 2, 3, then you are living within your means and you have extra money that you can save, you can give, you can put it towards children's college, retirement, or the charities that you like.
Ahora ya que haga las primeras 3 cosas, está viviendo adecuadamente con lo que gana. Lo último es guardar y para su futuro, entonces guardar dinero para su casa, invertir el dinero o para su retiro, para la educación de sus hijos, cosas así.
And then step 5, when you're in a good shape, you can start going on vacations, passing on your knowledge to other people and lifting up the poor around you.
Ahora, ya que está viviendo bien, puede ayudar a otras personas, continuar, ir a vacaciones, ayudar a las personas necesitarias, cosas así para seguir.
No solamente dando dinero, pero dando información, educando a los que necesitan saber y entender más del dinero. And the most important part after the foundation here is your walls. If you notice the walls on the house, you have your work, you need a steady income, and your budget. If you're not looking at a budget and checking your numbers and studying your expenses and income, then you're going to have a crooked house and you won't have control of your life very well.
Ahora lo más importante son las paredes. Si bien a los lados, un lado es el trabajo, entonces tener esos ingresos estables y el otro lado es el presupuesto. Porque si no está trabajando y siguiendo checando sus ingresos y su presupuesto, puede caer la casa porque no está protegida.
Okay, so then on the left side, follow this map for solid foundation and strong finances. So keep this picture in your mind. Do they get a copy of this
Yes.
in print? Okay, so they can take notes on the paper. Then commit to staying in control of your money and not relying on others. Be careful with your spending and track it weekly. I'll let you say those.
Ahora es importante igual seguir este mapa para tener una fundación de finanzas que esté fuerte. Ayude a sorry, I forgot the word for commit.
For which?
Commit.
Comprometer.
Yes. Comprométase a estar en control de su dinero y no tratar de tener que confiar en otras personas y gastar su dinero muy cuidadosamente y tener, o sea, siempre estar viendo dónde está yendo su dinero cada semana.
Hay que verlo cada semana. We make a good team, Carla. Okay. Then these are just kind of reviews, finishing the list, get protections in place. If you have any questions about types of insurance, I can help you. I think there's a little more about it. Talk with your partner regularly about your money goals. Your income is your biggest asset. If you don't have money coming in, your money won't carry you for all the years ahead. Your budget is your best tool. If you're not managing your money, you can't plan well. You must always be living within your means, so know how much you have expected to come in and adjust your expenses accordingly. And then, as always, try to be saving.
Tener protecciones, perdón, en lugar. Entonces, siempre estar hablando si tiene con su pareja sobre qué metas quieren con su dinero. Sus ingresos es su más mayor ayuda, entonces siempre tener eso estable, porque sin eso no van a poder seguir viviendo. Su presupuesto es su mejor herramienta. Entonces, siempre estar checando eso y también vivir que es within your means. Básicamente, nomás vivir sin tratar de gastar mucho en lo que no necesita, nomás viviendo con el dinero que ya gana. Y siempre ahorrar para su futuro.
Y no comprando cosas que no pueden, que no tienen el dinero para comprar, viviendo arriba de sus habilidades. Es lo que mucha gente hace ahora. Okay. Questions about that yet? Okay. What are some common mistakes? ¿Cuáles son algunos errores que hacemos? Okay, I'm going to explain first the drawing. There's an empty jar there. And if you're looking at the common approach, lo que la mayoría hace, they put they pay for little things. What are those called when you try to win $1 million on buying those tickets at the gas station?
The lottery?
The lottery, there it is underneath. Yeah, so if you're spending on little things here and there and not really tracking your money, that's this jar number 2, lots of little things. Then when you get older, you start really realizing, oh, I need to be saving for bigger things. So that big rock would be like your retirement or your mortgage for your house. And you realize that you really don't have much space in your bank or in your budget to be fitting that in. And then on the last jar, the little rocks on the outside never made it into the jar. Those would be other big expenses, but not as big as retirement, like your car, vehicles, your appliances in your house, your trips that you want to take. You may never get to have nice of that because you couldn't get it to fit in your budget. So the glass jar is your budget, and the items are things in your life that you need to spend your money on. I'll let you explain that before I go to the better way.
Primero vamos a explicar el dibujo que está aquí al lado. Entonces, lo que muchas personas hacen, que es lo que está enseñando en el segundo diagrama, es que muchas personas primero gastan en cosas pequeñas. Entonces, es lo que enseña la arena, que son muchas cosas pequeñas que usted gasta. Luego ya cuando puede ser en el futuro, que está empezando a pensar de sus ahorros, de su retiro, para una casa, por ejemplo, tiene gastos que son bien grandes, que enseña el número 3. Y ya la última cosa enseña otras rocas más chiquitas, que puede ser un carro nuevo, nuevas cosas para su casa, y esos ni caben, porque básicamente enseña que su presupuesto en esta manera no trabaja.
Muy bien. So then the better approach is a self-reliant approach underneath, where you have your budget and you realize the largest expenses need to be started on early on. So as soon as you get a job, you need to be setting aside money for your retirement, your 401k. Hopefully your job offers that. If they don't, then you need to personally be setting aside money for a Roth IRA, because Social Security will not be enough to live comfortably on. And then number 3, you're able to start planning. If you're using your budget to see the next expenses coming, you can plan for a car before you buy the car, and then you won't have to pay such a high amount on the loan. And then in number 4, you're able to fit all the little things in after you've started taking care of the big things.
Ahora la manera que es mejor, una manera más responsable, es primero guardar por las cosas grandes. Entonces, ya que tengas un trabajo, estar guardando para su retiro. Si su trabajo no lo ofrece, buscar maneras de usted estar pagando para eso. Y luego ya también, si está usando su presupuesto, puede estar viendo qué gastos van a venir en el futuro y guardar para esos anteriormente para que no tenga muchas deudas. Y ya al último puede usar lo que queda para pagar las cosas chiquitas que necesitan pagar.
Okay, so what are some of the mistakes that you guys have seen your friends make about money? What problems have you encountered other people having with money? Can y'all share with me here? Please unmute and tell me what issues you've seen people having. Nobody's ever had any troubles with their money? Y'all are a quiet bunch.
Yes, my name Felicia. Can you hear me?
Yes, Felicia. Hi.
How you doing? Yeah, I've seen it even in my household where we at now. Different ones buying things that you don't need, getting unnecessary loans, and running into debt, and then later on trying to get out of it.
Yes, our society makes it so easy to buy stuff on credit, right? And then you think, oh, I'll just take care of it later. And when later gets here, you realize it's harder than it seemed.
And then the loan is so high. It's like it's practically half of what they learned you. So with that rate being up so high, and then you fall short, like the pandemic came, I seen my son struggling because the hours was cut. And some days they didn't work at all because of COVID-19. So I've seen a lot of that happen.
That's a very good point, Felicia. Interest rate is something people don't think about when they borrow. They think, I'm going to buy this item for $200 today or $50, and I'll pay $50 later. But by the time they get around to paying it with interest, they're having to pay 2, 3, 4 times the cost of the item, right? And so
Yes.
that became a very expensive thing to buy when you look at the final number. A lot of people don't understand about interest.
I was going to say in the last class I shared this already, but when I first got a credit card, I was just fresh into college, had my first job, and I definitely maxed out on it as soon as I could on things that I really didn't even need. And so I quickly learned my lesson of living within my means and really only using it like if I have to, or really now I just use it to help build my credit. But I feel like that's a common mistake that a lot of people do because credit cards nowadays are so easy to get. So that's something.
Yes.
So
they don't explain to you what the little number is, the interest rate, and it can go changing. You think you have a 6% card, but if you don't pay on time, the 6% becomes 18%, then 20% really fast. And so the company is charging you a lot more and you keep thinking, I'm paying it off. Why isn't my balance going down? It's all the interest that they're charging you for having lent you the money before. So warn everybody to stay away from that. I'm on a lesson. I can't help you right now.
Do you know my phone information?
No.
Didn't Nana give you an extra?
I'm sorry, I cannot help you. I'm not going to read over these right here, Carla, because I think they probably read them while we were translating.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share what troubles they've had? Or friends have had?
I would say
when you're expecting money and you're in your mind, you're spending it before you get it. And then you say, well, I know I'm getting this money here, so when I get it, I'll pay off. But then your car breaks down and you have another issue. So it's all about self-control. Like my son, I helped him file his taxes this year. He has no kids, he's only 19. So he filed single and he was able to get his stimulus check. So I was like, son, to build up your credit, put some money away for a rainy day. I said, trust me, I know how it is. I said, that's a lot of money for you. Technically you have no bills, so you need to save. So in his mind, he was thinking about all the things I said, no. The only bill you have is a cell phone bill. Pay your cell phone bill, and that's it, and save the rest. So I've done it when I still do it every once in a while, but I've done it when I was a lot younger, getting money and placing it before it gets into my hand. So I think you have to have a lot of self-control, and it's hard because sometimes you get tired of not having or not be able to do things, especially when it comes for your children.
That's very true. We want to plan our spending before we have the money.
Exactly.
And you touched on something about credit score. Having a good credit is maybe a slide we should include next time. That's an issue for a lot of people too, how to build up a credit score, because it'll allow you to get things when you have shown that you're responsible with money. And you hurt your credit score without knowing about a credit score when you first start
Right.
spending on credit, thinking it's so easy, you don't know the long-term effects. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Any other questions? Everything is there. Gmail up there.
It's not.
Okay, I guess we'll go to the next slide. Okay, so the self-reliant approach is better than the common approach. We'll go over the common approach first. So most people get their money, their income, and then number 2, they pay their bills. And then number 3, they might pay something to their church. And then number 4, if there's any money left, they might save it, but more likely they're going to hang on to it in case they need it next month or to buy something fun while they have it. And so they never get to really save much. Okay, go ahead and explain that one, Carla.
Algo que muchas personas hacen es que cuando se les pagan, gastan el dinero primero en los biles, en lo que tienen que pagar, y luego si queda un poco, puede ser que pague a su iglesia o puede ser que guarde un poquito, pero la cosa que de veras pasa es que si queda un poquito de dinero, puede ser que lo guarden, pero la mayor de las veces es que lo está gastando o encuentra algo para gastarlo.
Okay, so then the better approach would be when you get your money, you pay your church to thank them for the blessings of your job and health and money. And then you pay yourself first. And this is the key. This is the most important lesson to learn here tonight, is that you want to pay yourself for all your hard work and for your future self. So you put money aside for yourself, for your retirement, for your emergency fund, and for any savings of things that you know are coming up. And then with what's left over, you pay your bills. So then if you don't have much left over, you shouldn't have high bills. You need to live within your means at that point. So pay yourself first. That's the message here.
La mejor manera es que cuando reciba su dinero, primero paga la ofrenda, y luego lo más importante que van a aprender hoy es pagarse a sí mismo. ¿Qué significa pagar para su retiro, pagar para o ahorrar dinero para el futuro, cosas así. Es lo más importante que van a aprender hoy. Es la idea de pagarse a sí mismo primero, porque ya después de eso va a tener un futuro financiero más seguro y luego ya después de eso puede pagar sus biles y todo lo que tenga que pagar. Entonces, cuando hace eso, puede ver más o menos si está viviendo bien entre lo que usted gana y no va a tener no tiene gastos muy grandes, cosas así.
Okay, so are there any questions about this method? Are you guys doing this yet? Does this sound like something you know is right, but you don't do, or is this totally new to you? Or do you already do it?
I know, sorry, I was going to say, I just personally, as soon as I started working, I got the, signed up for the 401k. And so that money is taking out before I even see it. So for me, like, I know it's there and I know that I'm slowly starting to save for that. And I don't even see that money. So it doesn't even feel like I'm being taken out because it's just already, taken from my paycheck. So I know that has helped me if that's an option for you at your job.
Yes, always do that if you can. That's the best way to save. You don't even feel it and you don't calculate it into money that you have for spending. So that's how you protect it. And that's how you build for your future self. And then you're living off a smaller number. Anybody else? So is this making sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. I definitely have a 401k with my employer, and I try to pay my tithes very often. If I miss a week, I try to double up. So I think that's very important, is to pay your tithes and offerings.
That's great. Phyllis, another thing you mentioned that I liked was that you said that you pay into your 401k, and an important note to make is that a lot of companies will match your contribution up to a certain percent. That money is free money for you. So you should always ask at your job, do you match my retirement investment into my 401k or 403b? And what is that percentage up to that you will match? And then you do your best to be putting that amount, that 6% or 5% every month into that. Then after the match, you probably want to, if you have more money to invest in retirement, you should put that in a 401k, a Roth IRA. But the first place to invest for your retirement is your company's match into the retirement fund that they offer you, because that's free money for you. And then you want to do a Roth IRA because that grows tax-free. And then there are other things after that. Any other comments? Okay, let's go to the next slide. What is your current financial priority? So this is a questionnaire. I want everybody to write down on their paper an answer to each of these questions. You're going to write yes or no. And if you have a no there, then that is where you need to be focusing. Okay, so the first one, do I have a steady income? Yes or no? Go ahead, Carla, and read them after me, each one.
Ahora, pedimos que en su papel escriba sí o no para estas preguntas, porque básicamente queremos ver cuál es su prioridad ahorita financiera en sus finanzas. Entonces, la primera pregunta es si tiene ingresos estables. Entonces, si tiene un trabajo estable, ingresos estables, ponga sí o no.
Okay, number 2, am I committed to self-reliance, or am I expecting family members to pay for my funeral? Do I have a will in place that will distribute my things the way I want, or am I expecting everybody else to handle it? Okay, am I committed to doing what I need to do for my independence and responsible living?
La segunda cosa es si está comprometido en ser responsable por sí mismo, entonces si está pensando que su familia le va a ayudar, por ejemplo, con si tiene algún ingreso, un gasto que no esperaba, o si en el futuro para su funeral, si está pensando que su familia lo va a tener que pagar por eso, entonces si está, usted quiere ser más dependiente, independiente. Perdón.
Okay, number 3, ask yourself, am I careful and planned with my spending? Do I use a budget daily, weekly, monthly, annually? Because there's different types of expenses that come into those categories. So you sort of have to do different types of budgets. Are you being thoughtful and attentive to your inflow and outflow of money?
Está siendo seguro y planeado con sus gastos. Entonces, por ejemplo, si usa un presupuesto semanalmente, diariamente, al mes, al año, está teniendo sus gastos en mente y planeando exactamente y viendo dónde va su dinero cada mes o cada año.
Number 4, do I have a 1-month emergency fund? So we recommend at least $1,000 for an emergency fund. Everyone should at least try to have $1,000 available, because most emergencies, car emergencies, home repairs, can probably be handled in $1,000. Not your AC and maybe not your transmission, but most little daily things would be handled in $1,000. So try to have 1,000.
Ahora tengo dinero guardado para una emergencia. Típicamente ella recomienda que tenga por lo menos $1,000 guardados por una emergencia, entonces tiene ese dinero o puede estar pensando en guardar para eso.
And after you have 1,000 and you're still able to have more money to save, there's an order of ways to save, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Do I have health insurance or access to medical care? Or am I just gonna, okay. Have I taken care of my own medical insurance and care?
¿Tengo seguro médico o algún acceso a ayuda médica?
And am I living healthy? Am I taking care of my health, eating well, exercising? That goes with that question. Yes or no?
También con eso es si está viviendo saludablemente, entonces está comiendo bien, haciendo ejercicio. Entonces,
okay. Do I have other insurances? Because there are a ton around here. So you'll need home insurance when you get your home. Everyone by law needs car insurance, but I can give you lots of tips on how to save on car insurance. And then life insurance. If anyone is depending on your income, if you have any children around, then you should have life insurance, because life insurance will replace your income if you were to pass away. Hopefully not. But that's what life insurance is for, is to replace the income for a year or 2 or 3, so that the family you leave behind can overcome the suffering without having a financial impact as well.
ahora tengo también otros tipos de seguro, entonces seguro de carro, todos tienen que tener seguro de carro, seguro de su casa, ya que compre su casa. Seguro de vida, si usted tiene hijos, eso ayuda para, ojalá que no, pero por si algo pasa, que usted fallezca, su familia va a estar bien porque tiene ese seguro de vida. Otras cosas que tienen que pensar.
Okay, how does my debt look? Am I debt free, or do I have high credit card bills, high car bills, loans? Yes or no?
Ahora, ¿cuáles mis deudas actuales? Si tengo mucha deuda de tarjetas de crédito, un préstamo de carro, tenga en mente exactamente cuántas deudas tengan.
do I have an emergency fund that's 3 to 6 months worth? I guess that's so once you start with the $1,000, then you want to keep building it up if you can to however much money you make for times 3 or 6, so that if you were to lose your job, you have some savings until you can find another job to live off of. So you want to keep building your emergency fund.
Con sus dinero que tiene guardado por emergencias, ya que tenga esos $1,000, si es posible tratar de crecer esos ahorros, entonces si es posible crecerlos para 3 a 6 meses, entonces básicamente lo que le pagan a usted multiplicado por 3 o por 6, por si algo pasa que pierde su trabajo, que no puede trabajar, tenga ese dinero guardado para no tenga que preocupar si algo pasa.
And then am I adding to my retirement savings fund? Sometimes we may get a retirement account at one job and then we leave that job and we go to a new job that does not offer retirement savings. But you think, well, I have something. But if you're not always adding to it, it may not be enough when you get to retirement. You could live in retirement 30 years. That's 30 years of living expenses. It's a really large amount of money. Most couples need about $1 million saved up before they hit retirement. And retirement is not an age. It's an amount of money that you have saved that you can live off of. So if you don't have that $1 million, then you have to keep working when your body is tired and you don't want to work anymore. Sometimes you can't. So then you don't want to have to rely on your families. So always you should be adding to a retirement fund. And if you can't get it through work, get an independent retirement account called an IRA Roth.
Ahora, sí, siempre estar pensando en su retiro, entonces siempre estar ahorrando para su retiro. Si cambia de trabajos, entonces se cambia y ya no está guardando para eso, siempre tiene en mente, porque muchas personas a veces se les olvida y no están pensando en eso todavía, pero es muy importante porque a veces hasta necesitan 30 años de dinero guardado para cuando ya está retirado, entonces siempre tener eso en mente.
So yeah, you could live 30 years longer, and to live comfortably, you want to have enough saved up. And if there's leftover, you can pass it on. So then, am I working to eliminate home and student loans? So sometimes people put off student loans because you're not required to pay them all the time. And on home loans, a lot of times people just pay the minimum because that they think that's good enough. But anytime you can pay extra on a loan, that's how you get ahead and pay less in interest. So you always want to try to pay down your loans faster than what the loan company has scheduled you to pay. That'll help you save on interest.
Ahora, lo último es si está trabajando para bajar sus préstamos. Entonces, por ejemplo, si tienen préstamos estudiantiles, muchas personas dejan eso hasta el último momento o no quieren pagarlo. Entonces, es importante bajar esas deudas. Y también por la casa, muchas personas nomás pagan lo mínimo que se necesita para pagar la casa. Entonces, les tarda mucho tiempo para pagarlo. Entonces, si tienen el dinero extra, paguen sus préstamos para bajar esas deudas.
Okay, I want to hear how many no's y'all got. Just call out the number. Any?
Hi, this Felicia. I have 2 no's.
That sounds good.
This is Phyllis. I have 3 no's.
This is Janice. I have 1 no.
Good.
This is Chandel. I have 1 no.
That's great. All right. Did everybody get to answer? I guess we won't call anybody out. Okay. Fabulous, ladies and gents. You can know where to put your attention now on those areas to build your financial house. Now we're going to get to budgeting. So in this process, you're going to look at how much money you're expecting to come in, and you're going to tell every dollar exactly where you want it to be spent before the month begins, before you get the money. So you're going to write down the dollars that you expect to come in and on what day. So I think you'll have a calendar, an April calendar. The first thing we need to do actually before we write down the numbers, well, and I don't know if y'all were told to do this ahead of time, but on that April calendar, I would like y'all to take a 10-minute moment here where we won't be talking to you, and you're going to write down on what days your salary will come in and what amount of money you expect, and on what days your bills are due and how much money you will spend on that bill. So your calendar should show, maybe write in one color your income and in another color your expenses. Do y'all understand that? Okay. Is that fine with you, Carl? If they take, how much time did we decide for that?
I say we should do like 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes for you guys to, oh yeah, because it was the 10 minutes for the budgeting. So
Right.
you maybe only need 3 minutes, 4 minutes, depends if you have the information nearby. Write down all your income and expenses on the date that they occur in the month.
I feel like maybe I should play music or something. Maybe next time.
Just tell us when you're done so we don't have to wait too long.
I have a question.
Sorry. Yes.
Go ahead.
So what if I have multiple incomes? So how would I put that into one budget?
So on every day that you will receive any money, you put that amount on the day you expect it to come in.
Okay.
So like my husband's come in every other Friday. Mine comes in on the 15th and the 30th. So I write each one on and the expected amount
Okay.
on the day of April. That's why we gave you this coming up month, because you're going to set your budget for next month.
Okay.
And you should redo this every month. So if it changes, you can adjust each month.
Okay. Okay.
Good question.
I have another question.
Great.
Oh my. I have another question. Okay, I have 4 special needs children. Do like their medical bills that's considered as budgeting? Because I know medical bills are expensive and that comes out of one of my accounts also. So I don't know how I would be able to budget everything.
If you have to pay it, if it comes out of the money that you earn, then you need to include it on the calendar.
Okay.
If it's paid by social program, then you need to include the income from the social program
Okay.
and also the expense.
Income.
If you get alimony, child support, if you get income from investments, anywhere that you have regular money coming in that you can plan with, that you can expect and count on, put it on your calendar. And your expenses also. And these are your monthly expenses. You don't have to put Christmas gifts, until you get to the December planning. Like I always budget for Easter. So that's a week away.
I was just gonna show, excuse my doodles. But I have this planner that I got from Amazon. It was really cheap. I think it was maybe $8, and it's a monthly planner, and it goes all the way to 2022. And so every month, obviously I have my appointments and work things, but then at the very top, it's kind of hard to see, but I put when my bills are due. So I usually have that in red. And then here on the side is where I do the zero-based budget. So I do that for every paycheck. So for mine, that's every other week. And
Awesome.
and so I actually started because of Liz last year, started doing that because I kind of already did it, but like more just in my head. I didn't really write it down. And so now I actually write it down, and it's really helped me a lot to start saving better and all that. So I just want to show that
That's a success story.
yeah, I just want to show that it's really helped me. So I just wanted to show mine. But yeah, I have a few extra calendars if anybody of these.
I love that idea because Phyllis wants one. I know I personally write my money on one calendar and my meetings and appointments on a different calendar, but I love the idea of putting them all on one calendar because then you're looking at it every day.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you can add it all together.
And for me, I just kind of have a different color for a different, so like red is like money and bills and all that. And then I have black for work things and
Good
then
idea.
blue for personal things. So I like being able to see it all in one place because I think before this, I used a lot of my phone. Nowadays you can just use your calendar on your phones, but I really like being able to see it. I think that's really helped me personally.
Okay, good. Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Janice wants one too. So has everybody written down all their expenses and income on the calendar? Okay, so what I want to point out is take a good look at that calendar.
I don't have any calendar, but I got this. And I write it on my debts and my money and subtract for each month.
Great. Great. But everybody got a page for April, right? From Carla, so that we can scribble all over it today, and then you can put it on your regular calendars too afterwards.
I have empty April, is March is full. And
Great.
this is my balance.
Good job, Yolanda. Excellent. What I want you to do is study those numbers and look at when does your money mostly come in and when are most of your bills due. Sometimes it will help you to try to change the date of when a big bill is due, or to spread out some bills so they're not all at one time in the month. So just having the picture of how the money will flow through your month can help you make good choices. If you get a new debt, a new monthly expense coming up, you'll have a better idea where to put it to most comfortably fit your budget.
Yeah. Once I started doing the zero based, I realized that like the check that I get in the beginning of the month, a lot of that goes to like most of my bills. And then I know that the one that I get in the middle or end of the month, I do have some bills still, but I know now that one I can use is when I save the most, because that's when I have the most money left over that I am able to save. So I
That's
think, yeah, so I think it's really helped me kind of break it down now and do it by paycheck.
I'm the opposite. At the beginning of the month, I pay all my retirement and savings, kids' college, and then on the second half of the month, I pay all my bills. Whatever works for you.
Right. It's different for everyone.
Okay, so then now we're going to start to the budgeting. We have in our mind what our expenses are and when our money becomes available for those bills. So hold on, go back one still, Carla. So right here, we want to try to pay our needs first, which would be yourself, your future self, and then your basic, your home, your shelter, your transportation, maybe your cell phone, your food. Okay. And then everything else is next. Then your giving, your tithing, your saving and spending. So savings would be additional savings. Really, the order needs to be savings first here. Number one should be savings and then needs and then giving and spending. I take that back. Should be savings, giving, needs, and spending, the self-reliant approach that we talked about earlier. At any rate, kind of know in your mind what category of the expense it is and make sure you get yourself in there first. So in this next slide, it doesn't show paying yourself first. So I don't like this slide that I made, but we didn't get a better one in time. So go ahead and show the next one, Carla. Can you just 1 second? Okay. So we have, did you need to translate that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
So let me go back. Sorry. Ahora vamos a hablar del presupuesto a base de cero. Entonces vamos a hablar de, tenemos una manera de, ya hablamos de cómo hacer las prioridades de sus gastos. Entonces lo primero es guardar sus ahorros y luego es dar entonces su ofrenda. Ya después de eso es sus gastos normales, entonces comida, casa, gas, transportación y luego ya el último es dinero que le queda y puede usar eso para gastar dinero.
So we need to redo that slide to match our other lesson. I didn't catch that. Sorry. Okay, so this is not a very good example, but what I want you to look at is on the right side, you're going to get a sheet of paper like this with lines, and you're going to write your income on day 1 of the month, first of the month. And then you're going to write pay yourself first if you can in that payment. And then whatever bills, needs you have, pay those that are due before your next paycheck. And then if you have any leftover money, you write in how much to give to your tithe. And then if you have any leftover money, you start going down the hierarchy of needs until you get to 0. And then you have to wait for your next paycheck. And then you assign where that money's going to go. But you fill out all the money that you're going to get for the month and tell every dollar where to go so that you have 0 at the end of your spreadsheet or at the end of your list before your first paycheck comes in. Does that make sense? Carla, how do you explain it better? Okay, so now y'all have to, let's see, what's the next slide? Does it say to go ahead and do it? Okay, so that's, no. Okay. So this is just an example. We're going to let you do it later, and then you can look back at this example. Let's go to the next slide. So a good way to avoid fees and interest and loans is to plan ahead for your expenses by using a sinking fund. So that means that you're going to plan a purchase in advance. You take the total amount of money you think you're going to need and research it. Look around and pick the model you want, get that number, divide it by the number of months that you have until you really want to have it. And then you might find out you have to extend that, but say here's some examples. You want to go on a vacation in 10 months. And if you know you have 10 months and you can put aside $300 a month, and you can pick a vacation that would cost $3,000 to go on. You know, you can go the other way around. If you need to purchase a car in 12 months and you can save up to $500 a month, then you can buy a $6,000 car, or vice versa. If you need a new dishwasher and you know it's going to cost $1,500, if you can put away $250, you can get it in 6 months. Do you see how that works, where you kind of calculate how much you need to be saving, or if you can put away more, you can get it sooner. That's a sinking fund when you're saving before you make the purchase. That way you don't use credit.
Ahora está hablando de un fondo de ahorros que se llama fondo de amortización, que básicamente es si para tratar de no tener que pedir préstamos para gastos que usted sabe que son más grandes, usted guarda para ese dinero en avanzado. Entonces, por ejemplo, si quiere tomar unas vacaciones en 10 meses y sabe que va a costar $3,000, divide tiene el total y lo divide entre cuántos meses tiene hasta que va a hacer ese gasto. Entonces, por ejemplo, unas vacaciones de $3,000 va a hacerlo en 10 meses, entonces tiene que guardar $300 al mes. Entonces, básicamente nomás agarra el total y lo divide por los meses que tiene antes de que va a hacer ese gasto, y así es como puede guardar para hacer ese gasto.
Right. That's how you could figure out how much you need to be saving each month, by figuring out how much time you have and what the cost will be in the future. Great. Any questions on that? Smart cookies. Okay. So you really should be having 3 types of savings all at the same time. And a lot of people usually don't realize that there's different types and they need to be saved in different ways. So your emergency fund, your first $1,000 can be at your bank in a savings account. It could be under your pillow or in a jar in your closet. That's okay. But once you want to save more than 1,000, you could gain by putting it somewhere better than the bank or your closet. But you do want it to be available, accessible quickly in an emergency. So you have to have special rules about your emergency account. You cannot spend that money on anything that you see coming ahead of time. Like when you're planning your budget, you can't say, oh, I'm going to plan to use my emergency money for something coming up. It's only for crisis, like hospital bill, something that you did not see coming and you cannot function without taking care of that right away. Maybe losing your cell phone or something like that. Okay, but we talked about this already. Start with 1,000, then add on and make it available. So like I have $1,000 in my bank, but I have another emergency account that I actually have invested into the stock market. So, and it's really very accessible. I can get that money in 2 days and it's earning interest in my favor. I'm gaining interest on that money. So I think that as long as you have 1,000 right close by, then you can build your 3 to 6 months by investing it somewhere better than the bank. I'll let you explain that one.
Ahora vamos a hablar de los diferentes tipos de ahorros, porque muchas personas no saben la diferencia y piensan que nomás necesitan un tipo de ahorros, pero de veras hay muchas diferentes cosas y diferentes maneras que pueden guardar ese dinero. Entonces, lo primero, ya hablamos un poco de esto, pero es el dinero para emergencias. Entonces, esos $1,000, guárdelos primero, y estos obviamente no lo puede usar para gastos normales, no puede usarlo, no sé, en el futuro quiere comprar un nuevo teléfono o algo así, no. Este dinero es nomás para emergencias. Ya obviamente ya hablamos un poco de eso, pero si ya tienes $1,000 guardados tratar de guardar aún más, hasta de 3 a 6 meses de sus ingresos, y tener este dinero muy fácilmente accesible, porque obviamente es para una emergencia, entonces no quiere, lo quiere tener ahí a la mano, guardado en el banco, guardado en su casa, por si hay una emergencia.
Okay, the second type of savings is going to be in a separate account from your emergency fund because it'll have different rules. So you don't want to mix these savings. This is where you put your savings for your sinking funds, for your traveling, for your bigger appliances, for the possibility of being out of work. This money you can save in advance to pay upfront things like insurance, and then you get discounts because they're not billing you every month. And this, I would recommend you put it into investments, but a CD at the bank doesn't really pay you as much. It depends how much time you have. If you're going to use the money within a year, even within 2 years, then just keep it at the bank. But if you're saving longer, then you could keep it in the stock market, 7 years or more. Put it in the stock market and keep adding to that savings.
Ahora el segundo tipo de ahorros es para gastos más grandes, entonces como hablamos anteriormente, de amortización, entonces dinero que usted está guardando para algo o ingresos más grandes o nomás creciendo sus ahorros, entonces con este dinero tienen la opción si quieren invertirlo, perdón, si quieren ponerlo en stock market. I don't know how you
I'm not sure.
se me olvidó la palabra, pero ese dinero ahora lo pueden invertir y tratar de crecer ese dinero para gastos más grandes. Y esto lo tiene separado a su dinero para emergencia. Entonces es una cuenta de ahorros completamente diferente.
And I'll tell you a little bit about types of stock market places you can invest too. And then the third type of savings is your long-term savings, money that you know you won't need to access for a long time, so it has time to grow on itself, getting compounding interest. This would be money you're saving for retirement or for long-term care when you're older or in a nursing home, or any extra savings in a mutual fund. Those all will be separate from your other two funds. And these you almost have to promise not to touch them for 10 years to be able to get a good growth rate.
Ahora lo último es el dinero de ahorros para su futuro. Entonces, su retiro, si quiere invertir su dinero, si en el futuro necesita quedarse en una casa, nursing home, de cuidado, cuando ya esté mayor de edad. Entonces, este dinero obviamente no lo puede está prometiendo que no lo va a tocar, por lo menos por 10 años o más. Es dinero que va a ser hasta el futuro.
Y si comprometes de no tocar ese dinero por 10 años, lo puedes invertir y ganar dinero de interés en tu propio dinero, vas acumulando y creciendo tu dinero así. Entonces es buena idea invertir ese dinero. Okay, any questions about these types of savings? Are you guys saving in more than one place already?
Yes,
No,
I am.
Great, Phyllis. Who else? Shondell?
No, ma'am. All I have is one savings account.
Does it make sense to you? Would you be able to save in two places now?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Are you counting your retirement account? You probably are already.
I am. I work at the school, so I'm a resource teacher at Riverbend Elementary. So yeah, I have a TRS account, a savings account, but that's that one account that I have everything in that account. But yeah, I can stretch it out to a second account.
Great, great. You'll be surprised how much more secure you feel when you have that cushion of $1,000 somewhere and just in case something goes wrong. Great. Anyone else? Comments on savings?
Yes, this Felicia. I have an IRA account from when I was working at Walmart. I've left there and I put the 401k money into an IRA account. So, and
Okay.
then I have my regular checking account that I pay my bills and stuff through.
That's so wise, Felicia. That's the perfect thing to do. Now, if you can, keep adding to that IRA. Are you getting income now that you can put into it to keep it growing?
Yes.
A lot of people don't realize they can be adding to those accounts. You can have a direct deposit every month into it. And it can be sometimes as low as $25. It depends on the company.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
Something that I just wanted to mention real quick. Something that I recently started doing. I don't know if you guys know about the Cash App. It's a mobile app where you can send money, and also my roommate actually was the one that kind of told me about this, but I've been using that as my emergency fund. So you can send money from your bank account to this account, and you can get a card for it, but I have that card hidden somewhere. But basically just every paycheck, if I know I have a little extra that I don't even want to touch, I send that to the Cash App account. So basically it's just kind of become like an extra emergency fund for me. So that way I don't see it all the time, like on my bank account, because it's completely separate account. So that's something that I've been doing, but that might be an option just because there's so many online banking apps nowadays. That could be something.
Yeah. Do you know if you earn any interest on the money that's saved there?
No, that's the only thing that you don't.
Yeah.
So,
But people think they're earning interest at the bank and they're not really either. The bank pays less than 1% interest on your money in a savings account. So that's not a good return on your investment. Just to give you some ideas about these savings accounts, if you were to invest in bonds, which government bonds, maybe they're very safe and secure, and the government guarantees to pay those back. Of course, our government is questionable right now, but those usually give you 4 to 6% rate of return. So it's not growing very fast. And then if you were to invest into stocks, which is where you're actually buying ownership in a company, there's more risk involved, and we'll look at that in a minute, but you might be getting a return on your investment between 8 and 23%, depending on how aggressive you want to invest and how much risk you want to take, because you could lose the money in stocks. But if you go with mutual funds, it's a mixture of everything. Okay, we're here. So this is the next slide we wanted to show you about types of investing. If you look at this chart, you have your return on the left side and the risk on the right side. And if you look at the very bottom left corner, you have your savings account at the bank that's not giving you much growth for your money, but they're keeping it safe because $250,000 are guaranteed at the bank. They'll pay you back. That's called your FDIC insured money. So after that amount, then they're not going to cover if you have more than that at the bank. But it's not growing there. It's just safe. Then your CDs, certificate of deposits, they might give you 2% growth. Then if you go up the line to government, okay, savings account is like putting your money in a tricycle. It's fun, but you're not going very fast. The CD is like a bicycle. You can go a little faster and a little more places, but it's still not very fast. A government bond is like, let's see, going into on a motorcycle. Okay, you can go faster than a bicycle, but it's still not super fast. And that's where you get like 4 to 6%. The mutual funds is a very safe place for beginning investors to begin because you have lots of companies there. If one company goes bankrupt, the other companies are still good. So you're not going to lose a lot of money. They're very safe. It's like an elevator with 5 cables on it. If one breaks, it's still a strong elevator. So mutual funds are highly recommended. They're very diversified. They change the companies that are in them and they're managed. They automatically have a manager watching your money there. So it has some fees involved, but the managers help you get a good return. So they help keep your money in companies that will make money. And those you usually can earn 8 to 12% if you know how to look for them. Then in the large companies going up into stocks, you see there's more risk, but you could get more money back. And that's where you get into the double digit numbers, the 13, 20% rate of return. And then there's real estate and then owning your own business. That's like a mutual fund is like a Toyota Corolla, steady and a good pace. A stocks would be going in a Lexus, riding nice. But then owning your business is like a race car. You're risking everything if you crash, if you're not successful. So do y'all have any questions about investing? You're going to get more information next week about retirement investing. But this is just very basic idea to help you understand what are the products out there that you could invest in and how risky are they. But this is a really good way to let your money grow. And a lot of people don't understand how to get into it. And I'm here to help you with that. For $25 a month, you can get into something. Most of the mutual funds that I can offer are that amount of money, but you don't have to do any of the things that I offer. I'm here just to answer your questions about the industry as a whole to help you avoid any shark loan stores. What were those? Payday loans? Don't ever do that. Questions about investing?
Yes, where I can find information about the mutual funds in the banks or where?
No. So a bank might sell you a CD, but they do not sell mutual funds. So mutual funds, you can go to financial advisors, AG Edwards. There are some online that don't have offices that will have less fees. T. Rowe Price. I can't remember them right now off the top of my head. There's about 3 that I would recommend. They have very low fees, but I would want to explain to you how they work so that because you have to manage your things yourself. That's why they have low fees, because there's not other people doing it for you, but they still send you statements and so forth. But you have to get into stocks and bonds and mutual funds through an investment company or a broker dealer.
Okay.
And I work for one. But again, you don't have to use my funds.
I have one fund, but I don't know. It's I managed before and I have it in my phone, but I don't. It's increase every day. But I'm interested on another one and spend more money on it and put more money on it.
Yeah, great. So I could help you read your statement and understand what you have and help you decide if you want to add more to that or start a new one and what to choose from. I'd be happy. I don't know how we're sharing my number or. That's great that you have one, Yolanda, and that you're seeing it grow. You see, it's a pretty safe way.
Yes. But I'm interested to spend to deposit and get
To add
another
to
one.
it.
Some different, yes, add and get another different too.
So you could probably call the phone number on the statement and ask them, how can I get a direct deposit every month? Or how can I, whenever I have extra money, how can I add it? And they can tell you the instructions.
Yeah, I have the instruction on the phones too. They give and the app they show everything. But I want another way. I'm seeing this one with the information they're giving us. That was in mutual funds. I never heard those before.
I highly recommend mutual funds.
Okay.
But there are so many. You can choose, even within mutual funds, how much percentage of stocks and how much percentage of bonds, so that some are more aggressive than others.
Yes. I was seeing right now in my phone what's going on with it's up and down, up and down.
Yeah, you don't want to watch it every day.
No.
The stock market is cyclical. It loops like a corkscrew, but it slowly builds up. And so when things go down, because inevitably they will drop, don't fret and don't sell. You never sell when it drops. You buy low, you sell high. So when your stocks are up, that's when you sell to get the highest amount of money.
Yes, I know that, and I used to always did before, but here I'm kind of a little bit scared because I don't know too much. But in Mexico, I did it before. That's what I know something about it.
Good, smart move.
That's the only way to get more money.
That's right. All those credit card companies and car loan companies that are charging you interest, they are making so much money on your interest. But when you invest, you're getting on their side of how money works, and the interest that's growing on that money, you get to keep it.
Yes.
And so, and you're not charging anyone else. It's just being on the right side of interest, where you're earning the interest instead of paying the interest. And that's what investing is.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you.
Are we ready to move on to the next slide? Does anyone have any more questions about investing? Okay, so having success with your money is 20% knowledge and 80% behavior. So many people know what's the right thing to do, but they don't make time to look at their budget every week and every month. And they don't really put the time involved to plan well. So your budget is your plan, and we're going to take, now is the time, I think, where we're going to do this. Oh, we already did the expenses. Okay, I got confused, sorry. We reviewed 2 weeks, a review every 2 weeks, and record everything you spend. That's another tricky part. If you don't have a place where you write it all down in the same place, then you're going to lose some of the expenses. I always look at my online banking statement, and then I write everything down and calculate it into categories. Is this the second to last slide?
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't see all of it. And I didn't let you translate any of that.
Ahora para hacer para tener sus finanzas bien, lo primero es saber, entonces lo 20% es nomás saber esta información, pero de veras lo que cuenta, lo 80% es lo que usted hace. Entonces su presupuesto es su plan, entonces como ya hicimos que escribieron el calendario, sus gastos y todo eso, tener en su presupuesto, checarlo cada 2 semanas, es como usted puede seguir su plan. A mí también una cosa que es un poco más difícil, pero es tener en cuenta todos sus gastos. Entonces, checar su cuenta de banco y escribir exactamente dónde va su dinero toda la semana.
Okay, so now with us here on the line, all together as a group, each house is going to tell all their money where to go for next month for April today. So on your piece of paper, we'll do what we were talking about earlier, like that sample. Write down what day you will have money, what day you're going to pay out that money, and to what bills until you get to 0. Then the next day that you have money coming in, what will you pay with that money? Tell each of those dollars where to go. Can y'all do that right now? Any questions? Oh.
Ahora vamos a practicar haciendo este presupuesto de base 0, entonces van a escribir en un papel todos sus ingresos, entonces cuándo le van a pagar, cuánto van qué día y cuánto le van a pagar, luego ya diciendo qué van a pagar, qué biles van a pagar con ese dinero. Entonces van a practicar ahorita en un papel haciendo un presupuesto y haciendo todos los pagos hasta que lleguen a cero.
And remember to pay yourself first.
So do you want to, so at the bottom, it just says write your starting income and then subtract your fixed expenses. Then, keep going until you get to zero. So we'll take 10 minutes, 5, not sure how long. We'll just wait until people say they're finished, but we'll do 5 minutes at least to practice, get a paper now, and do your zero-based budget.
We didn't talk about fixed versus variable expenses, but the fixed expenses are the same every month. And they're like on a contract. And then your variable expenses are the ones where when you know you need to be saving more, those are the ones you can influence more. They change every month. You can buy cheaper groceries or less clothes when you need to be saving more.
So if anybody has any questions, go and feel free to unmute yourself, but we'll go ahead and just give you all the time to do that. I think people are about finishing up, seems like.
No questions?
Can I get any nods if you're done? Yeah, okay.
Nobody had any questions about prioritizing their bills? What to pay first? It was pretty easy to figure out because of the calendar, right?
I do this monthly. This is Janice, but I work from a spiral notebook. But
Me too.
it helps though. But I'm excited about getting the budget calendar.
Great.
Any realizations as you were doing this? I know when I first did this last year, I had more left over than I thought I would. In my head, there's expenses and groceries and gas and all of these things. And I still wasn't at zero. I mean, it was not a lot, but I mean, $20 every paycheck adds up, so even if it's just a little bit that you're able to save, it really does make a difference over time.
Yes, it does.
Or sometimes we underestimate when we're not tracking our numbers. We think it's less than what it is, what we're spending, or we're not tracking all the expenses. So then when you come to budgeting, you think there's all this money, but you're not remembering some of the things you've spent it on in the past or that you'll need it for. So that's why it's important to keep writing it down, keep looking at it. Am I going to need to make that expense again next month? If so, plan it in. If not, try not to spend that and just study your numbers every month. But yeah, last year we had several people say that they realized they could be saving more.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Janice is already budgeting regularly. Good job.
Does anybody have any questions? Anything, maybe a tip that you have that you can share for us that you've learned?
I agree with you. When you said earlier that if you can pay off something earlier, pay it off, it saves interest being charged to you. And then that's one debt off of your monthly budget bill that you don't have to deal with. But don't pay it off and go back and open it back up.
Especially with credit cards, you always want to pay as much as you can on those.
Yes.
The minimum payment is just what they want to keep you going, but with the highest interest. So always
That's
pay
true.
more than that.
That's so true.
Good.
Our last class on credit, we learned that if you pay twice a month, they don't charge as much interest. And so I just wanted to, if anybody missed it last week, I didn't even know that, but I thought that was really, really interesting. If you're able to pay twice a month,
I didn't know that either.
you can really make a difference.
That's true for mortgage as well.
Yeah.
If you pay twice a month, you end up making more payments. How does it work? You end up making 2 months more payments. And you can save an interest on that too. Okay, well, what else? Questions, ideas, share?
Question in the chat. How bad of a negative impact if you pay your bills during the grace period?
So during this COVID grace period, no negative impact if you kept paying your bills. You were helping yourself because you were reducing interest. When they gave you grace periods, they were saying you don't have to pay, but a lot of the companies were still letting the interest accumulate on that time that you weren't paying. So it was still hurting you a little bit to not pay. So you're still going to have to make up for that time that you weren't paying because the interest was still accumulating. But anytime people let you off the hook, but you know you're going to have to pay eventually, it's much better to just focus on that, pay it. Even if they're not demanding it, pay it, get it out of the way. Because if you're adding other bills, it's going to get harder. Pay more, pay as much as you can every month, because that way you'll pay off the bill sooner and you'll have less interest. You'll end up paying less in the long run, the sooner you pay it off. Did I answer that question properly? How bad of a negative impact? If you pay your bills, you always want to pay even during a grace period if you can. Some people didn't lose their income during COVID, but their bills were given grace, but they should have been paying anyway if they had the money.
Does anybody else have any questions or anything?
So if you're still on a grace period, don't wait for them to tell you that when the grace period will be over. You just start paying it as soon as you can. Are there still grace periods going on some rents and things?
Yeah, I know for me personally on student loans, I know we're still on a grace period. Got extended.
Yeah. If you can pay it.
So in the chat, Liz put her phone number and her email. So if anybody wanted to ask her maybe one-on-one anything or get her input or anything, she shared her information on there.
Yeah. I was trying to remember the names of those companies that have low fees. And I really couldn't. I got some rankings of investment companies. But most of those that came up were bigger companies where you'd have to have a large amount of money to start investing. And so I just want you to realize that there are ways to invest with low amounts of money. I'm not sure where to guide you right in this moment, but I know that in my company, $25 will get you started in a mutual fund. And we don't have overhead, like we don't have offices and we don't do a lot of marketing. So that's why we can, help the middle income families with smaller amounts. But any questions that y'all have, even just understanding what you're already doing, I'm happy to email or call me. I'm available anytime. I'll make myself available. Well, I work during the day. I'm a teacher, but after school hours, I'm happy to talk with you.
Can you share to Carla your company name about the mutual?
I can type it in here for you. My company name is Primerica. You're not going to find it very easily. Primerica Financial Services. Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. Primerica Financial Services. It's a very unique company because it's friends helping friends, and we work from our homes. They educate us. I've gotten a big education from them that has turned my finances around. And more than just helping you invest, we teach you how it all works, and then you can teach your friends.
Thank you.
It's a pay it forward company. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.